I guess what I want to talk about today is naivety, innocence, and kindness. Three things I have in my lifetime had attributed to me, but most often I've had kindness attributed to me. Mum used to joke about the fact that apparently once I gave my last 50p to a homeless man on the street from my pocket money, and I have no clue how old I was when I did that, because I've heard it for so long. So I'm guessing I was pretty young. But I still find myself naive of the world in many ways. And a lot of that's to do with the fact that I like to say I'm friendly, but to a point other people seem to see it as kindness. If someone talks to me about an issue, whether they're stranger or friend, or enemy even, I think I've classed people as enemies and still listened when they've had issues, I will talk to them. I will be nice, I will try and offer advice, just because that's who I am. And some people seem to think that's naivety. That's not knowing the human illness. No, I don't actually know what to call it. Human personality or whatever. But I know bad people are out there. I can generally spot if someone's on the edge of you're getting a bit creepy and stalkerish here, step back, or if they're using me for something. Generally, I can figure that out fairly quickly. Sometimes it still takes a while, but I don't think in the last few years I've ever had it get bad enough where I have to really do drastic changes to get that person out of my life. But I'm realising today that being as friendly as I can be, probably not the most sensible idea for getting along in this world, which doesn't value being kind, being friendly. One thing I've noticed a lot in my life is that people often mistake being friendly as flirting, especially when there are other guys around. I remember joking once to Bethany when I was talking about one of my crushes. I think I must have been 12 or 13, and I said something about I'd be flirting with him more than I was now, and she turned around and said, "I hope you're not flirting with me now." But by that time, and this is quite young, I'd always already registered that how I acted a lot of the time could be seen as flirting. So my response was, I don't know when I'm flirting or when I'm not. So how am I to know if I'm flirting with you or I'm not? That worries me about the world in general. Because if people are going to take me being a friend or being friendly, or actually just being a tactile person, I love hugs, I have said this before, as flirting, that can get me in danger, and it scares me. And it's not naivety that means I'm friendly, it's just who I am. What's naivety is when I forget that people will see my actions in different ways and try to use them against me. And people using them against me is something I worry about a lot. It's not happened yet, and I'm so glad it hasn't happened yet. But at the same time, it's still in the back of my head sometimes, especially after things have happened where I've met someone or spoken to someone that's crossed the line into going creepy, that, hang on a second, acting as I do is dangerous. And I don't like talking about it to people around me when I notice this, because either I expect them to turn around and just say, well, I warned you of this, or I expect them to turn around and just act like it should have been common sense. I do love my best friend, because she doesn't judge like that, never has, because I think she's been aware, as most of my friends become aware over time, that if I'm in a situation like that, and it's pointed out to me, I will get out of it. Because most of the time, living in my own head as I am, if I'm going to be in a situation like that, it's going to be in two situations. One, on the internet. Very easy buttons, block or report. Easy to press, I'm good at pressing them. Although thankfully I've only actually blocked people who I knew and who have really, really annoyed me until today. And two, random strangers I meet on the street. Now, one thing that has only really been an issue maybe the last couple of years is random strangers I meet on the street actually being attracted to me. And I do call that an issue. Because when I was a kid, I loved meeting random strangers because they have the most fascinating stories, and they were normally generally nice to talk to. I mean, I wouldn't give my address to them. I did have that much street smarts when I was a kid. But I'd talk to the guy selling The Big Issue, or I'd just talk to a person who sat down next to me. I remember that one. That was quite good fun. If people sat down next to me and started chatting to me, I'd chat back. Now it's got a bit of an issue for me, because I've took at least a few instances to realise talking to random strangers and giving out mobile numbers does not work. That's one of my instances where I'm naive, because yeah, they were nice to chat to, had quite a good conversation with them. Never sure I want to stay in touch with them. And I'm really bad at remembering to give fake numbers. I've actually got it noted down in one of my notebooks to memorise a false mobile number. Still haven't done that, because then I'd start getting really confused over what my real number is, what my fake number is, and bleh. And that's just me planning on trying to memorise it, so I've swapped two of the numbers around. Heaven help me if I actually need to get in a situation where it's really dangerous. So I ignore the text from numbers that I've probably given my number to, if I think they're creepy. But it's still something I'm uncomfortable with, because in most of these instances, I was being friendly. Now, I've known for years, and this is not me being bigoted, this is me repeating what people have told me, that in the modern sense of the word, I am attractive. I hate that. Not because I don't want to be attractive, I love looking pretty. I love being a pretty princess. I have made myself a princess dress. I'm a princess in my own mind, a warrior princess, as I said yesterday, but that's how I see myself. I just hate that being attractive gets the attention of guys. No. No. This is not as important as this. And if you're not going to listen to what's going on in here, you're not going to stick around very long. You're probably going to be a random stranger. I mean, even if you're not, even if you are going to stick around in my head, if I met you while walking down the street, you're probably going to be a random stranger. Maybe one drink. Hey, I like chatting to people. It's nice to make new acquaintances. But meeting people who chat to me in the streets became a lot more dangerous when I grew up. And I don't mean grew up enough to be going around town on my own. I mean the last 3 years, when I started apparently seeming like an adult. Major misconception there, but hey ho. Can't blame misconceptions. Technically I am an adult, but who cares about technicalities or legal issues? Not me. Well, I follow the laws, I mean, but if I'm legally an adult, that does not mean I'm mentally an adult, or emotionally an adult, though I probably am emotionally an adult. Okay, this has gone off on a tangent. Innocence is the last of these I've not spoken about. Well, kindness has kind of been woven in there. I don't understand what innocence is in the modern world when they talk about a child's innocence or a girl being so innocent. It's like most of the time you're just using the word innocent as a cover for you don't know what on earth's going on, do you? Or they just made a dirty joke, but you're far too innocent to understand that. Seriously. I'm beginning to think that's as much a derogatory term for teenagers as anything else. Or sometimes it's an, oh my god, the kid, she's so innocent, it's lovely. Yeah, really? It's either a front, a facade for the adults to see, in the case of some teenagers, or she's innocent because you're not letting her see the world. You can't be innocent enough to not understand dirty jokes half the time in this world because it's thrown by the media, by TV, by the adults around you, at kids. Adults never seem to notice that one. I remember Mum got very shocked quite a few times walking around town or just walking and chatting with her while I was growing up when I pointed out I understood things, and she was like, I don't think you should understand that. How do you understand that? But it was things I'd picked up at school, things I'd picked up from listening to her and her friends chat, and it was just, I just thought I was meant to understand it by now. I did not see anything wrong with understanding it. And that type of innocence, the childish innocence where you don't know dirty jokes, God, that's something I love, but at the same time I'm like, half the time when we mention this, it's a negative thing. Even if it's masqueraded as a positive, if you're using in that definition or innocence to mean that, you're not meaning something good. Or it's not going to take in to mean something good. Just be just be upfront about what you're saying. You're saying they don't get what you're saying, and you find that amusing. You're making fun of them. And I guess that's okay, but most of the time you're making fun of them in a demeaning way, which feels like shit. Anyway, this is enough of a ramble on kindness, innocence, and naivety. Bye!